Love lives here.
And good morning once again to one and all. Good morning, Allison. I see you coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see all of you as you join us for the first Sunday in 2021. Yes, it's the first Sunday. Hallelujah. Right? We have made it to the new year. So let's start by focusing our energies and focusing our intention on what it is that we are about here at Riverside CSL, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. So let us say our focus statement together with all the V's: vim, vigor, velocity, vivaciousness, voluptuousness, velocity even. Let's do it with all the V's. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. One more time. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. So this year, well, in case you didn't know, I had the opportunity to chair the committee that created the theme for 2021 and then created all of the themes for the weekly themes, the monthly and weekly themes for 2021. So it's good. Are you excited? Because I'm super excited about this. And Michelle did all of the graphics and the memes for the Centers for Spiritual Living that Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide is using this year. Michelle did the graphics for that. So that's also really exciting. So we are really thrilled to share this with you and to go on this journey together with you. So are you ready for what it is? 2021. The theme for 2021 is, drumroll, boom, timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. Timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. And so that is also the theme for January that we'll be exploring in January. And it is also the theme for today. So we're going to get things kicked off today with timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. This is I am so excited. You have no idea. I am so excited to share this with you. As you know, I'm also the chair of the visioning team for Centers for Spiritual Living. So this year's theme began, of course, in visioning. That is the way it started. And so this is the topic that was revealed through weeks and weeks of visioning and then weeks and weeks of development and acting on and revising revisioning, meaning visioning again and continuing to vision. So what has unfolded for us here is something that is really, really exciting. So we are going to use timeless wisdom, ageless wisdom, as our compass, if you will, to go on this journey of unfoldment, to use this compass to go on a journey of unfoldment that is being guided and pulled forth, that is pulling us forward, pulling us toward it, to this evolutionary vision. So it is going to be an exciting year. I'll tell you a little bit more about it here in a second, but before I do, I want to share something from Ernest Holmes around this very idea. So in Science of Mind, Ernest says, the spiral of life is upward. Evolution carries us forward, not backward. Eternal and progressive expansion is its law, and there are no breaks in its continuity. It seems to me that our evolution is the result of an unfolding consciousness of that which already is, and need but to be realized to become a fact of everyday life. So what he's saying there is that our evolution is a result of the unfoldment of that which already is. It already is. And all that needs to happen to become realized is, all that needs to happen is for us to realize it, make it real, is for us to recognize it and realize it and make it real. And then it becomes a fact of our everyday lives. So he says here that there is this spiral, right? That life is a spiral. It is an upward spiral, and evolution carries us forward, not backward, but it's this upward spiral, this upward rising, this grand rising, if you will. So it is this beautiful upward spiral that what we are going to be experiencing throughout the year is, as we move through the year, the themes themselves will come back, will revisit themselves. As we continue to climb the spiral, as we continue to move up the spiral, the themes themselves will come back and say hi, and we'll have another opportunity to look at the themes, to look at the ideas, to look at the truths, the spiritual truisms, the spiritual truth from another perspective, from yet another perspective, from a higher perspective, and from a deeper perspective. As you know, science of mind and spirit, the philosophy that we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living, is rooted and grounded in the ancient wisdom traditions of the ages. Ernest Holmes studied all of the world's major religions, major world religions, and found the golden thread of truth in them, and then synthesized them, and then brought them forth as what we teach here at Centers for Spiritual Living. So it is this golden thread of truth. So we will have the opportunity to look at our faith, our philosophy. We'll have the opportunity to look at our thoughts, our beliefs, our realizations, in a whole nother way, in a whole different perspective, perhaps, as we continue to travel along this journey together. Emma Curtis Hopkins, who is known as the teacher of teachers, especially in the New Thought movement, she is known as the teacher of teachers. In high mysticism, Emma Curtis Hopkins shares with us the idea that there are three sciences. There's first the material science, then the mental science, and then the mystical science. So the material science itself is the science that you and I know, that you and I understand. It is biology, it is physics, it is chemistry, it is the law of gravity, it's the law of electricity. It is all of the laws governing this physical plane of existence, our current plane of existence, the physicality. Even quantum physics applies to this material science, if you will, right? And then there is mental science, which you and I are also familiar with. Here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we know that our thoughts become things, or our thoughts are things, and that our thoughts are creative. It is not our individual thought that's creative, it is our habitual thinking that is creative, and it is our habitual feeling that is creative. But we have this idea that there is a power, that we can change our lives when we change our thinking. When we change the way we think, we change our experience of the world. And this is true. And this is mental science. This is straight up mental science. Change your thinking, change your life is mental science. And it's good. And it's useful. And it's helpful. And it's transformative. And it can change lives. And there's the third science that she talks about, which is the mystical science. Mystical science. And what the mystical science is the mystical science is rising above both the material and the mental science to the mystical science, to where we know that we know that we know that we are one with the one. That we know the truth of who we are, absolutely know the truth of who we are, and allow that truth to move through us, that we become the vessels, the vehicles, the transparencies for the divine, allowing it to move through us into greater expression. Now, here at Riverside, we talk about this quite frequently, because what I know for our community is that we are already on that cutting edge. We are on that evolutionary edge right here in Riverside. Yes, we firmly understand and appreciate material science, and we firmly understand and appreciate and use mental science. And we also know that we are being called forward. We are being called to a higher understanding, a deeper understanding, a higher, both higher and deeper, right? Understanding of spiritual law, of living under grace. And so this is that mystical realm. This is that mysticism, that mystical science that Emma Curtis Hopkins is sharing with us. So it is not that this year we are going to toss out all of our teachings here at Centers for Spiritual Living. We're not going to toss out the science of mind. We're not going to toss out, that the idea that thoughts become things or that we create our reality. We're not completely tossing that out. But what we are doing is we are exploring new ways that we can be thinking about and experiencing what it is that we teach. So years ago, Ernest Holmes had a radio show, and every time he was on the show, he would say, there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it. Or there's a power for good in the universe and you can use it. That is true. That is straight up mental science. That is true. Mystical science, on the other hand, says something slightly different. There's a power for good in the universe and it uses me, or it uses us. And this is a mystical perspective. This is from the mystical science perspective. Both things are true. But where we stand on the spiral, depending on where we stand on the spiral, we have a different understanding of the laws of the universe, the laws of spirit. So one does not negate the other. One is just a different place on the spiral than the other. So back in the early 1990s, what I would call at the height of the prosperity gospel movement that was part of New Thought, where everybody, and some of you were around, everybody was manifesting their new car, they were manifesting their new job, they were manifesting tons of cash, they were manifesting all these wonderful material goods. Through the use of the principles and practices that we have here at Centers for Spiritual Living. And that is straight up mental science. They were using that, and there's a power for good in the universe, and I can use it, I can create it, I am creating my world, I am creating my reality. And remember, that is a powerful place to be. When you have that understanding, that is a super powerful place to be, because what comes before that is that idea that like, oh, everything's happening to me. I can't do anything. I'm always at the whim of effect. I'm always subject to other people's silliness and stupidity. I'm always, fighting and struggling and striving. And so when we move to that place of, you know what, I can take responsibility for myself. I can take responsibility for my life. And my life does not have to look like this. And if I change my thinking, then I can change my reality. And so that is a powerful thing, to understand that and to be able to use that and to be able to realize that we create our experiences. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And at the same time, in these early 90s, there were other visionaries in our movement that were coming forward. And they were studying the ancient wisdom. They were studying the mystics of the ages. They too were studying the various world's religions and seeing the common thread of truth, but seeing it from a mystical perspective. And so they came forward, they began coming forward and began sharing with us that there's a power for good in the universe, and it uses me. That there is another spiritual realm, there's another spiritual stage of development, that it's no longer just by me, that I'm out here creating everything on my own, but actually I'm the co-creator of my experience, because there is this power, there is this higher idea that is coming through me, that is coming to me, that I didn't experience before, that I didn't understand before, that I didn't know about before, that I couldn't have arrived at with my own limited mental faculties, my own limited ideas. They were opening up a space, opening up their heart space to receive the direct revelation of spirit. And it is in this that we move to the through me, the co-creation, the co-creators of our experience, that spirit, the high idea, the high vision, actually comes through me when I make myself available to it. It comes through me and into existence. So rather than a power for good in the universe that I am using, the power for good in the universe is using me to express itself in greater, more fuller ways. And in so doing, I then am a beneficiary. I then inherit my divine inheritance of my good. So I don't need to effort. I don't need to struggle to make things happen. I don't need to do a bunch of affirmations. I don't need to work at it from a mental, physical, struggling, make it happen kind of idea. But I can actually allow spirit to move through and use me. And then the work then becomes bringing myself into alignment with that. So my spiritual practice is no longer about trying to manifest the rent or trying to manifest the job or trying to manifest health or trying to manifest anything. The spiritual work then becomes allowing. It becomes removing the obstacles, removing the mental obstacles that I have, and then simply allowing. And therefore, I'm aligning with the high idea. And I'm being called to it. I'm being brought to it. And the high idea is being fulfilled through me rather than me trying to make it happen. One of my teachers describes this as she was sharing a story with us about how she and her husband do the dishes, especially the pots, all the sticky stuck-on stuff. We had our gratin potatoes here on New Year's Day. And so the cheese likes to get all crusty and crunchy and it likes to stick to the sides, and it's oh so good, but it likes to stick to the sides. And so one way of getting all that burnt on, caked on, yummy deliciousness off, aside from pick at it with a fork and scrape it, aside from that, one way to clean that, right, is to get in there and really scrub. So she was saying that her husband, the way he approaches the stuck-on stuff is he scrubs it. He scrubs and gets his Brillo pad out or his other green scrubber out, and he scrubs the pots to make sure that they're clean. And they do get clean, right? They do get clean. There's a lot of elbow grease that goes into it, but they do get clean. She, on the other hand, takes a different approach. She puts a little bit of soap in the bottom and then fills it with hot water and then lets it soak overnight. And then the next morning, she comes to the pot and she just swishes it out, wipes it out, and it's clean. So she was using this metaphor to share that mental science is scrubbing like her husband. And mystical science, taking it from a mystical perspective, is like letting it soak, letting it steep, and then easily washing away anything that is unlike it, and simply allowing the purity, the cleanliness to come through. So if we think of that from that mystical perspective, or that mental versus mystical, we can do a lot of efforting. And we will achieve results. Or we can steep in spiritual truth. Allow the spiritual truth to do its work within us, and then reap the benefit of that. Might take a little bit longer, but there's an ease to it. There is a grace to it. You with me so far? So as we move through the year, you might experience a few challenges. with this, that, you know, you might experience us challenging that mental science and inviting a mystical approach. You might find us challenging your thoughts, challenging your beliefs, challenging those ideas that you have had. So what I invite you to do then is to start with the beginner's mind and just say, what if we try this? What if I open to this? Because what I can tell you is that mental science helps us get to mystical science. And what I mean by that is, okay, if you change your thinking and you change your life, right? So what if, just tossing this out there to you, what if you change your thinking, you change your belief, you change your thought patterns to thinking or to believing that, you know, there's a power for good in the universe and it uses me? What if you began to shift your thinking, began to shift your focus from trying to manifest something to shifting your focus, to shifting your thoughts, to bringing yourself into alignment with the one? What if you shifted your thinking, shifted your thoughts about how you're thinking about the mystical approach? What if you change your thinking and change your thoughts to, you know what? There is an easier way here. You know what? There is a more gentle way here. I'm going to change my thinking, and I'm going to even do affirmations of bringing myself into a greater alignment with another idea, another way of deepening my spirituality, of understanding on a deeper level. You see, we need to ground in our timeless wisdom, because that is necessary to open to the impulse of the calling to go inward, to go deeper inward, to a deeper part of ourselves, and to lift higher, lift up to a greater reality. So first we study the truths. First, we apply our spiritual principles. We study them. And then the invitation to move to the next level with it is to then set the study aside and turn within and allow that which you have been studying up to this point, allow that which you've been studying up to this point to percolate, to steep, and to wash over you, and then to allow it to rise up, allow the wisdom of it to rise up within you as direct revelation. And then you will have a greater understanding of that which you've been studying. Not only will you have a greater understanding of that which you've been studying, you'll have a greater experience of that which you've been studying. You'll have a greater experience of that which you know to be true, that which you know that you know that you know. So I ask you, my beloveds, how do you want 2021 to unfold? Do you want to continue to effort like we did in 2020? Because let me tell you, 2020 was a lot of effort. There was a lot of efforting going on in 2020. A lot of pushing, a lot of resisting, a lot of moving, a lot of shoving, a lot of stretching, which has all been wonderful. So do we want to continue in that path? Or do we want to open up? Do we want to steep in the truth, steep in the power and the presence, and open and allow Spirit to use us to be the transparency for the divine, to live a greater, more fuller life, and an easier one, a grace-filled one? This is what we will have the opportunity to move toward and to explore. This is that upward journey. This is that expansive journey that we are on this year of timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision, because we are rooted in the timeless wisdom. We are using that as our compass, and we are allowing ourselves to be drawn forward in evolutionary vision. We are allowing ourselves to be moved into the direction, into the fulfillment of the high idea, into the fulfillment of the vision. Are you with me? Are you with me? So I want to close with a reading from Joel Goldsmith. Of course, right? All right. So about the journey, Joel says this. Only the very courageous can embark on the spiritual journey, and only those of great strength and vision can hope to continue on this path. Nearly 20 centuries ago, the Master made it clear that the way is straight and narrow, and few there be that enter. This is true, born out of the fact that up to the present time, very few have been able to remain on the spiritual path and continue to go forward. It is not easy to surmount superstition, ignorance, and fear, and despite prejudice and previous failures, to set forth in search of new horizons. We cannot adopt new ideas while still clinging to outworn beliefs of the past. We must be willing to relinquish our old concepts. That is where the courage comes in and the daring. Every year will result in what we make of it, the result of something that we put into operation this minute. It will not do to wait until midnight. It will not do to wait until tomorrow. The kind of year that we are to experience must be started now, in this moment, by an act of decision, and each one must make that decision for themselves. So are you with me? Ready to join me on this journey? I hope so. Peace and blessings. So let's come together in consciousness now. Breathing in. I open up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One, knowing that it is the all in all, the as all, the isness, the fullness, the allness of life. It is life itself. It is love. It is joy. It is harmony. It is peace. It is divine order and divine action. It truly is all that there is. And in this moment, I choose to call it God. I choose to call it spirit. I choose to call it divine. I choose to call it love. But it is the one power, the one presence, the only power, the only presence that brought forth all of creation. Not only brought it forth, but is it, expresses itself as it. For the manifest universe is the body of God itself. The body of love, the embodiment of spirit. That is what the universe is. That is what matter is. It is the embodiment of spirit. Therefore, I know that I am that. I am the embodiment of the divine. I am the divine emanation and impartation of the one life, spirit itself. God made manifest. Love made manifest. This is the truth of my being. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of everyone present here this day. Each one is the divine manifest. Each one is a divine expression. Each one is a vehicle, a vessel, a transparency for the divine, making itself known in, through, and as each one, and in, through, and as the lives of each one, because there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is our life now. Always was, always will be. And so I speak my word for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, realizing that as we step into 2021, we open up to new ideas, to a higher idea, to a deeper understanding of ourselves, to a deeper and greater understanding of spirit itself, of the way life is, of the way life works. And we open up to a greater experience of our yet to be. We open up to that high vision, that high idea, not only for centers for spiritual living, not only for our beloved community, but for ourselves individually. We open up, we raise our eyes, and we see that high idea. We see the vision. We look to the mountains. We look unto me with a capital M. And it fulfills itself through and as each one of us, through and as each individualized experience and expression of the one. All the love that is, all the power that is, all the abundance that is, all the peace that is, all the joy that is right where each one of us is. We simply open out a way and allow that imprisoned splendor to escape from within. And we bear witness to it. We are the divine beneficiaries of it. And so I know that our community is blessed and richly blessed. I know that each individual is a blessing and a benediction. I know that each individual is experiencing the highest idea here and now. And it continues to expand because there is no end in God. It is eternal. It is infinite. It is ever expansive, ever expanding. And that is who we are. And so in this moment, we say, use me. Spirit, use me. Use me. I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all. And so I give thanks for this realization. I give thanks for the oneness. I give thanks for this beloved community who have said yes, the sacred yes, to its unfoldment, to our unfoldment. And I release this word now, knowing that it is done, knowing that we traverse this journey together of timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision, assured of its fulfillment under the law of grace. I let it be, and so it is.
Love